to the Alfa Romeo Giulia Quadrifoglio. I finally got myself behind the wheel on, what are we, day 6, or well, it's the final day of the fuel faction. I've got Joey, it's probably just in shot, over to my right. And we're going down one of Tim's favourite roads in Sardinia. Well, it's just about to start. We've been going down the most incredible road on the planet for the last, what, 4 or 5 hours? It's just been unreal. Halfway. Yeah, we're halfway apparently. I think we've still got another 3 or something to go to the hotel. I've been in the Vanquish most of the day, killing the tyres in that and having lots of fun, very impressed. But anyway, we're now in the Quadrifoglio. This is one of my current favourite cars. You know, you read nothing but positive things about this, and this particular car is a manual. Now unfortunately in the UK we don't get the manual option. As you probably noticed, I'm left-hand drive. This is an Italian press car, and from what Pete, who's been driving it for the past 5 days, has said, the manual's not great. It's good, but it's not great. And he has basically concluded by saying that he's not gutted that we can't get the manual in the UK, because obviously the ZF8 speed is sublime, and we'll make better use of this engine as well, because it's a 2.9 V6, I think, turbo. Plenty of torque, but there is a bit of lag that low down, and it doesn't like to rev too much. So having a nice ZF with the close ratios would actually work better with the engine, I would think, but I haven't tried one yet. So Alfa Romeo UK, give me a car, and send me out to Sardinia with it. But yeah, unbelievable car. I've driven it for about 3 miles, so I've been following it for probably over 1,000 miles actually on this tour. So I've seen what it's capable of, especially with Pete behind the wheel. He's a bit of a legend, and it's just impressive. It looks good, it looks menacing. It's got, you know, it's got the sort of RS4 menacing looks about it, but with Italian styling and everything about it's just cool. There's a few things when you get in the cabin that are cheap and nasty, things that you're kind of not going to be too surprised about if you were to buy an Alfa Romeo. But you know, the touch points, the seats are great. In fact, we went to see the seats being made at the Sparco factory, so the seats alone are just fantastic. They're comfortable but supportive. The steering wheel is great. The driving position is just fantastic. So far, so good. And let's see what we've got sort of coming up. So I put it straight into race mode. There's quite a few different modes. Race mode is everything off, like everything off, but then I put bumpy road mode on, so it's softened the suspension up a little bit, which I could probably, I don't know if that's helping me at the moment, because these roads are actually very smooth, but some of them get a bit bumpy, so it'll be interesting. We've got Pirelli P0 Corsas on this. They look incredible, like, especially it's what, 30 odd degrees outside. Pete's been rally driving this thing for about 4 hours today, so they've got plenty of heat in them. They feel very grippy, and apparently they're very predictable in the way they sort of move around. And yeah, we're not really pushing on yet, so. But yeah, there's plenty of power there. It feels very, very fast, but a nice sort of linear power. The steering feels great. There's lots of feel, and it's very, very pointy. Like for a relatively big car, it's very pointy. I think a lot of that's come down to the fact that, well, firstly, we're sitting extremely low, and in fact, I could sit a lot lower. Oh, I can sit a lot lower. There we go. Pizza. A couple of inches shorter than me, isn't he? Maybe 1 or 2? Just a bit. Yeah, just a little bit. Sorry, Pete. Oh, that's even better. So yeah, you sit super low, like lower than any BM I've been in, including all the M cars. We've got the massive carbon ceramic brakes on this thing. Now, they're an option, because I've seen a few that haven't got them, so they're clearly an option. And they look monstrous. They're the same size as the ones on the Vanquish, pretty much. So in a car that weighs 500 kilos less, I can't see them having any issues, and Pete certainly hasn't said they have, so exciting times. What else can I talk about before we get to some really good roads? Well, the pedal layout's pretty good. I'm not having to heel and toe at the moment because it does the blippy blip 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 for me. I will, and apparently if you override that, it doesn't do it twice. So yeah, best of both worlds really. What I did notice when I was in the car with Pete the other day, and I am noticing it now, it sounds good, this car, but it's a bit gruff over sort of $5 grand. It's got a nice note, but we're not talking BMW sort of straight six. It's probably a nicer sound than say the M3 and M4, the current M3 and M4 with the S58 engine. It's a bit more organic, but it's still not amazing. It sounds better from the outside if anything, but you can't complain, especially as, you know, a lot of cars nowadays this size and sports cars are going to 4 pots, so at least we've got a 6-pot under the bonnet, and it's got some nice sort of overrun sounds as well, which you might or might not be able to hear on the camera. What else? Interior wise, okay, so I was actually very surprised at how spacious the interior is. Now with me driving, we could easily get another me behind with legroom and everything, and I'm 6'3", 6'4", so that's really impressive, because normally in this size car, you know, the 3 Series sort of segment, it's pretty tight getting, say, a Joe in the front and a Joe in the back, but with this one it's really good. And I have to say, also for Italian cars, you know, it's usually style over function, and when you look at the outside of this, it doesn't look like the cabin is very spacious, but it is. The cockpit itself, where I'm sitting, is great. It's really, okay, some might say it's cramped, but it's cramped for a reason. It's there, you're surrounded by the controls. It's good for the manual, you know, the manual's really close to the steering wheel. Everything is sort of where you need it. Infotainment system, etc. is not brilliant, sort of nowhere near up to iDrive level, but the way it blends into the dashboard and stuff is really cool. It's just like one big black screen, and when it's all off it looks good, and when it's on it looks pretty good, but the graphics and stuff on the sat nav are pretty poor for a car of sort of this year, or this, you know, this modern, and a car of this price. And talking of price, I think in the UK they're a tad over 60 grand. I might be wrong, or around that 60 grand mark. So, you know, they're in line with the M3s, the C63s, etc. I would love one of these. Number one, because they're just different. Now, I've got nothing, I love the M3, I think it's a great car. You know, it's been out for a few years now, so I think the C63 has maybe got more drama, but maybe not as polished and sharp. But this is a really solid alternative. And people that have put it into group tests say that it's better. And as I say, I haven't pushed it yet, but following it, it's an impressive looking bit of kit. And also being a passenger the other day, through some really spirited driving. You've been a passenger in it for a while, haven't you, Joey?
Quite a few days.
And marks out of 10?
8.5.
8.5, okay.
Yeah.
And that's based on what? Just the overall package?
Yeah, overall package. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
It's really fast, it sticks to the road, and it just keeps on going and going.
Sure.
The power is just, feels limitless.
Yeah, it does, and it seems that even though it's turbocharged, there's lag, then you get almost like a diesel torque mid-range, and then it gets stronger and stronger, but then it's a bit flat right at the top. Now, this is a press car that's been fairly used and abused, and we've had a few issues with the ECU going into limp mode, so we can't really take it over 6 grand, which is a shame, because this has actually got a flat shift mode to it. So I think it's at 6.5, you get a big yellow light flashing, basically saying you can flat shift, which means you keep your foot planted on the accelerator and just use the clutch and then engage the gear, so you're not losing. It just dips the revs for you perfectly, and on you go. So you lose very little time to, say, the automatic version, but we can't really experiment with that because we don't want the ECU to kick in. But I just want to let you know that that ECU glitch that's on this car is something that they've sorted in the software now with, you know, the sort of current customer cars. I'm currently following Pete up front in the 4C, then we've got Tim in his GT8, we've got Ben in the Vanquish Volante, we've got Sophia, or is it Klaus driving? Klaus in the GT3 in front. So we've got a fast pack of cars in front of us. Take nothing away from the 4C, especially on roads like this, and with Pete behind him. Pete behind the wheel rather. See, that was third gear there, massive turbo lag, so I've got to use, so that just, yeah. Now, if we're in, say, the 240 BMW with the B58, you would not have got that kind of turbo lag low down. It's just hard. I'm finding it a little bit difficult to place the car in the right place because it's a left-hand drive car, and obviously I've just jumped in it, and it's actually quite a narrow road, this one, for a two-way road. But yeah, I'm sure I'll get to grips with it pretty soon.
Tell you what, the locals coming the other way are really taking liberties with the lines.
And we're not.
Where the fuck is he?
Wow, this is an outstanding piece of road. And the first thing I noticed after stepping out of the Vanquish and into this is just how much lower I sit, therefore how much less seasick I feel. Even being the driver in the Vanquish, you start to feel a little bit seasick because you sit so high up. So the pendulum effect. Foot on the floor, in third, nothing, nothing, nothing. 3, 3.5, then it starts coming, then 4, it really takes off. So yeah.
Okay, coming out to a straight and clear now.
Big lots of turbo lag. So it doesn't feel like I've got 500 horsepower, if I'm being honest. It feels fast, but it doesn't feel 500 horsepower fast. So would I recommend buying one of these? Well, yes. Basically, I just think it's an Alfa Romeo firstly, so don't expect sort of German build quality. But don't expect Alfa Romeo build quality either. You know, the old Alfa Romeos, you know, the corrosion, the electrical problems, that's pretty much been cleaned up nowadays and turned into what you see today. I think it's 90% there. You know, there's 10% of stuff in the cabin that's a little bit suspicious looking. And even things like the engine, you know, it's basically developed by Ferrari, and you open the bonnet and initially it looks good, and then you look and actually it's just a big plastic cover with like cylinder heads that look like cylinder heads, but they're bits of plastic, bits of silver plastic, and to me that's a little bit disappointing. I guess Alphas of old, you know, used to have those lovely shiny sort of outlets. It just looked incredible on the 6 spots, but can't complain. But yeah, just don't expect top quality everywhere. You will find some really nasty plastics in here, but mixed in with some really nice leathers and finishing touches. I think it's a bit sharper than a C63, but it goes quicker than an M3. It's got more power, and I don't know if it's a more impressive engine than what's in the M3 and M4. It's definitely not as impressive as a C63, so don't go buying one of these because you've heard it's got a Ferrari engine, it's going to be outrageous. It's impressive, but it's not outrageous, and especially with this manual box, you do suffer from turbo lag. But as a whole, as a package, as a car, it's really impressive, and I just think it looks the absolute business. I really do. If you live in Central Europe or wherever you can buy the manual option, I would go and take one for a drive because I'm not overwhelmed by it. In fact, I don't think it's any better than the one in my M135, which I'm not massively impressed with. So definitely go and try the auto option and the manual option if you can, but I can pretty much guarantee the auto option will be a better box for this car. But everything else is just fantastic. The way it turns in, the way it brakes, just everything about it. It's so precise. It doesn't feel like I'm in a 4-seater sort of medium or large family car. So yeah, that is the Alfa Giulia Quadrifoglio. Let's just call this my first review because I'd really like to get my hands on an auto right-hand drive in the UK, and one that doesn't go into limp mode when you take it over sort of 5.5 grand. That would be great. Thanks for watching as always, guys. Please remember to subscribe, give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, leave any comments below. I'll see you soon.
Cheers.
Cheers. That's going in.